guys, mag-start ulit tayong video. Funky Friday, Funky Friday. Oh my ears. Oh, yeah, impossible. Definitely that's savage. Okay guys. Wala tayo ng, diba? Pwede mo na tayo muna guys. Please! Mamaya papakita ko sa inyo. Basta. Meron tayong guest guys. Papakita ko sa inyo. Google Chrome. Hindi ko ulit ihanapin isa. Kasi ano yun na. Nakita ko website na yan. Ano? Ayan. This guys. Story Minecraft.
Bakit afford ko pa rin ang healthy glowing skin? Kasi ang
I
beauty
hate
ng
this
Myra
eye.
may immunity rin. Myra,
Minecraft is full of different structures and even villagers that lie across the map, but we never get a clear answer that tells us how they got there or where they even came from. Well, by analyzing secret hints and lore put into the game, we can figure out what events happened before we spawned in the worlds and piece together the story of Minecraft. It all began centuries ago, before there were any temples in the deserts or mine shafts underground. It was a new world ready to be cracked open like an oyster for whoever stumbled across it first. Oh, and would you look at that? There's the first sign of human life, some wild Neanderthals. They weren't Neanderthals for long though. As time went on, they learned to mine and craft, group up together to kill animals, and discover more crafting recipes to make killing animals even easier. And it wasn't long before they went from living under the green top to having nice little cozy houses by the riverside to grow their crops. These builders were the ones that made all of the structures in the overworld we see today, like the giant prismarine monuments that they built to worship and offer gold to the gods they believed in, as well as the huge mine shafts underground, which they used to collect all the different types of ores. But our ancient friends had a problem. They had become so ambitious and adventurous that the usual mundane blocks and boring modified jungle edge biome wasn't giving any more satisfaction. The ancient builders wanted something new to discover, and that's when a man by the name of Alexander, king of one of the largest and most advanced settlements in the world, built a working nether portal with his son, which is where our story really begins. Alexander had more of a desire for adventure than anyone else, and he was ready to take on a whole new dimension. Before going in though, they went ahead and threw just about 15 pigs into the portal to see if it was safe, and only 1 out of 15 of them came back through. Alright guys, only 1 of the pigs survived. I don't think going in with just iron armor. Wait guys, what the fuck are you doing? Wait, are you guys insane?
Insane.
As soon as they entered the nether, they were taken off guard by a huge wave of heat, similar to that of opening an oven baking cookies, but this place didn't smell good. And after seeing a giant white cube explode some of the remaining pigs from earlier, he immediately ordered a team of builders to start constructing huge red fortresses that were similar to the castles they had back home. These nether fortresses would be used to protect themselves against the harsh nether environments and to serve as a place to settle in and store their loot. To add even more to this nether society, huge stone bastions were built to house pigs for easy food access, and several nether portals were built with backup escape gear to provide quick access to the overworld. Everything was going splendid, and Alexander was ready to launch another new expedition to conquer the depths of the nether, but on one dark morning, things would take a turn for the worse. In need of food for the trip, the king sent his son out alone to the bastions to get some pork chops, but when he arrived, he noticed something awfully strange about the pigs. Half of their flesh had melted off of their bodies, revealing their skeleton from beneath, and a coat of green fungus lined the border between skin and bone. They looked dead, but they were well alive, so the prince went to kill one of the animals to see if it'd still drop a pork chop.
Rotten flesh? That's weird. Wait, huh?
Because the netherwarts the pigs were being fed was a fungus, it ended up taking control of their bodies and turning them into aggressive zombie pigmen. The prince didn't come prepared for battle, so he ran as fast as he could towards the fortress.
Help! 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 Help!
The screams echoed off the walls of the nether and made their way to Alexander, who immediately ran to see what the yelling was about. Quickly looking through one of the fortress windows, he could see the horde of monsters chasing after his son, but before he could mine through the wall to save him, it was too late.
Hang in there, son, I'm coming!
As he got closer to where his son had just died, the blocks in the area changed from a red netherrack to a brown and mushy substance with what looked like faces printed into it, staring back at him, screaming for help. To his right lay his son's skull, which now turned from a concrete white to withered and black. He picked up the skull and gathered the blocks, which now held his son's soul, and went back to the overworld with the mission of bringing his son back to life. He felt that his cravings for exploration and power had gotten his own son killed, and bringing him back was the only way he could ever forgive himself. Despite his high reputation though, everyone in the kingdom began to think he had gone insane and didn't think there was any way he could bring back the dead. But the king was obsessed, and after multiple tests, he figured out that there was some sort of energy hidden in the soul sand. When he ran over it with soul speed boots, small souls would be released out of the soul sand, giving him speed. Not only that, but he noticed soul sand gives life to netherwarts in a lifeless environment if grown on it, which led him to believe if he could somehow combine soul sand in his son's dead skull, he could bring him back to life. And after countless attempts of trial and error in his dark basements, he finally figured it out. Or at least he thought he did.
Please walk. Please come back to me. Son, is that you?
Even though the Wither was built up of his son's soul, his real son was long gone, corrupted by the Nether's energy.
This is all my fault. I deserve everything I have coming. Come on, King, we gotta get out of here now!
A few of the king's guards snapped him back into reality, and they began running without looking back. They didn't stand a chance against the Wither, or know how to defeat it, so they kept fleeing, leaving their kingdom and civilization to fall into shambles. After countless days of running, the king and the remaining survivors still couldn't escape the sound of explosions off in the distance, and they were getting closer. They knew the Wither wasn't going to stop chasing them until it harvested as much souls as possible, so they began to dig and hide underground. Although there weren't many survivors left from their kingdom, the few still in the group were able to build a fortified stronghold under the surface, hoping that the Wither would never care to search underground. But what can go wrong will go wrong, and they needed an escape plan if the Wither did end up breaching their stronghold. Alexander thought back to interdimensional travel. Just thinking about it made him sick, but he had the idea that if there was one dimension they had traveled to, there had to be another one. It was a gamble, but a gamble he was willing to take, to save himself and what was left of his people. He got right to work, and with the spare time he had underground, it didn't take him long to craft a new block, one which no builder had ever seen before. He then filled the mysterious block's pockets with Eyes of Ender, and then the first functioning end portal had been successfully made. As everyone filled up with joy, Alexander stopped and zoned out, realizing what he had just done. The sound made by the portal when it was lit was extremely loud. In fact, end portals can be heard throughout the entire world when they're lit. The Wither had found them and completely breached the stronghold in an instant. They had to get out of there immediately. Alexander tried to stay calm. He was thinking that because he made a portal with indestructible blocks, it would be able to withstand a full-fledged Wither attack, and they can come back when they please, just like the Nether portal. Everyone ran for the escape room, and as the Wither finally got to the portal room, Alexander and his people quickly jumped into the mysterious void blocks, praying that whatever was on the other side was better than being blown up and having their souls harnessed as energy. And well, let's just say that our friend Alexander isn't the luckiest when it comes to jumping dimensions. Some could argue that facing the Wither is a worse fate than facing the Ender Dragon, but keep in mind, the king and the few people he had with them barely had any resources. And after one of his men got smacked into the void by the dragon, the king didn't want to risk any more losses, so they quickly used whatever blocks they had left to build out a way until they finally reached safety in the Outer End Islands. It was quiet, and the only sign of life were these tall forest plants that they had to start eating to survive. And there was also these shulkers that were really just a nuisance. Now with an almost endless food supply, they went ahead and started building giant end cities for a temporary base to settle in and store whatever loot they had left on them.
May creaminess sa bawat kagat na kay sarap ng langin. Aiden.
It was actually pretty nice. They didn't have to worry about giant spiders or skeletons, but they knew that they had to return to the overworld at one point or another. And they knew the only way to open up a return portal would be by killing the dragon. Alexander and his people immediately got to work once again, crafting any potions and weapons that they could from their leftover resources. After that, they began harnessing the power of flight. By using the Shulker's special levitation effects, they made huge flying end ships with dragon head replicas on the stern to show that they weren't messing around. They were going to fly these bad boys and their elytra straight into battle and take back what was theirs. The king took his place at the front of the ship, equipped his armor, and everyone refilled their saturation with the chorus fruit one last time before battle. Just like the nether warts, the chorus fruit had always been a mysterious food, and after eating it for so long, the unknown long-term side effects had finally kicked in. They became Endermen, developed teleportation powers from the chorus fruits, and completely forgot about everything from their past life. With the end of Alexander's journey and the death of his kingdom left everything their civilization had built to rot away. But don't worry, it isn't a completely depressing ending. There were still some survivors from all the wither attacks who built small villages filled with different merchants and traders who vowed to never let their ambitions get the best of them like their lost kingdom. And for the wither, legends say it went back to its breeding grounds in the nether and ended up running out of energy, leaving its giant bones to decompose in the Soul Sand Valley. Which leaves us with you, the player, who enters the world to discover what the ancient builders left behind and to do what they could not.
This one na ito, guys. Ito. Chance.
Minecraft is known for its randomness. Almost everything you find
Skip
in this
natin
game
lahat.
is by 1,000 chance of a brown mushroom being born after breeding 2 red ones. That isn't the most probable odds, but if you get yourself a fully operational PETA-approved farm, you can pull it off easily. Killer bunnies that actually can damage you have a 1 in 2,500 chance of spawning. Thankfully, this abomination could only spawn in a few snapshots of the game. For every 50 pandas that's and spiders, which makes me a bit skeptical. Other than that, in the incredibly unlikely odds, we can't say this clip is fake, since there isn't any outstanding proof. And that's that. So, wait, there's actually one more. The last rare occurrence is your chance of getting a girlfriend!
You just get coconut mold!
Minecraft has been around for more than a decade now, and ever since its creation, glitches have been lurking around in the game waiting to be found. Some exploitable, others not so much. So today we'll be looking at the history of these glitches, what they used to look like, and how they evolved into what we see today. This is the history of Minecraft glitches. Alright, let's start all the way back in 2009 when the game is officially released and goes into the classic phase. During Minecraft Classic, there was a unique feature added by Notch that allowed you to press R to save your position, and when you press enter, you could teleport back to that position. Since this was extremely buggy, it didn't take long for people to exploit it. One way to do so was by jumping into the air and setting a save point, then jumping again and pressing enter, which causes you to go higher up than before. Repeating this process will let you ascend into the sky until the game stops you from going any further. But instead of forcing you back to the ground, you're stuck up there and have to crash your own game to get down. There was also another exploit in that version that was the first ever X-ray glitch. It can be done by simply digging yourself into a hole and placing a sand block on your head, which will allow you to see any nearby caves or lava. You know, I wouldn't consider either of these glitches exploits though, since there wasn't really much harm in doing them since survival wasn't a thing yet. In fact, I would go as far to say as they were both useless. After Classic ended towards the end of 2009, the InDev and InfDev stage arrived. This is where we would finally see people making grinding pointless in the game, with the first ever duplication glitches. Some players figured out how to make a bugged block, which in other words is an infinite block. What you do was set up a small wooden house structure like this with a 2-block high wall and a 2-block hole. You would then dispose of the item you want to glitch while in your crosshair right to the side of the block. If you aim it correctly, the last block dropped will become infinite and you have now beaten the game. Another glitch, which isn't really a glitch, but I'm gonna mention it anyways because it's funny. If you set your world type to floating island, these random woman NPCs that Notch added will walk off the sides of the map without hesitating once and just fall to their death. Now we've talked a little bit about the first glitches that players have found and used, but during the InDev and InfDev stage there was also a couple of strange glitches in the game itself. During the InDev stage, before the world became infinitely generated, you could use the game's setting files to mess with your player positioning and set your coordinates outside of the small spawn region you were limited to. And as you put yourself further out, the game starts to get more and more interesting. interesting. First, blocks lose their texture and their hitboxes start to change into cursed shapes. Go a little further and you'll fall endlessly into the void. Then, if you set yourself far out enough, your game will freak out and crash. Another strange glitch that occurred is the Farlands. The Farlands is a world generation glitch that happened in the inf-dev stages of the game when the world became infinitely generated. This massive world generation glitch acts as the world border we have today. It is technically the end of the world, and you would have to walk roughly 12 million blocks from spawn to find it. You know, 12 million, that's apparently how far my parents had to walk to school every day, so it can't be that far. But yeah, overall, it looks like a 5-year-old designed that part of the map.
Alam niyo guys, yon yung nakatira sa Herobrine. Kaso binag na yun every month. Kasi nagkakain pa din yung may Herobrine. Kasi hindi niya pa din na alam yung iba. Diba? Si Farlands minsan when Herobrine minsan or Glitch.
Alright, so now we move into the alpha version of the game during late 2010, which out of all the versions was probably the most wackiest and most glitchy. This was also when survival multiplayer was released, so now glitches and exploits that used to be harmless could now be used on servers for unfair advantages. Let's start with the several new duplication glitches that were discovered first. Ethos Lab figured out a glitch which he called the Wood Generator. It was done by placing boats in the middle of a small square build like this, consisted of cactuses on each corner. When you place a boat down, it'll break, and you actually make a quick profit, getting more wood than what it would usually drop. Pretty nice. Another much more unique and creative block duplication glitch was done by towering all the way up to the build limit, then creating a bridge below the build limit so you can still place blocks down. Once you place the blocks you want to duplicate, save your game, mine the blocks, and then manually crash your game by placing a singular sign so it goes above the sky limits. Yeah, this would crash your game somehow, and once you load back in, you'll have the blocks still in your inventory, and they'll also be there for you to mine. There's also some pretty interesting glitches besides dupes that the community had found during alpha, one of which was extremely useful called the minecart booster glitch, which was used before powered rails were added to the game and when it was very hard to get minecarts to go up slopes since Steve is so damn fat. It was a simple glitch to do. You would have your main rail tracks with your minecart on it, and then to the side you would have a booster track with another minecart on it. When you ride past on the main track, you link together with the booster minecart and it gives you incredible amounts of speed to travel further and faster. Although this is technically an exploited glitch, it was used across the entire community and was extremely helpful. But hey, maybe you don't want to travel by minecart to your destination, but instead, you want to fly a pig. Yeah, probably one of the funniest glitches was when you were able to put a saddle on a pig, and with the newly added fishing rods, you could spam right click which would reel in that massive pig over and over again, ultimately sending you into the air. I guess that's the easiest way to get the When Pigs Fly advancement, am I right? Also, placing a sign on a cactus would crash your game. Placing a sign at height limit like we saw earlier would crash your game. Herobrine would crash your game. Sometimes pressing F10 would crash your game. And for some reason, if you pressed F4, you could spawn in nether portals. Oh, you think that was bad? Well, beta version is going to be just as bad. In 2011, during the beta stage, it just happened to be the time when Redstone was added to the game. And if you know anything about Redstone, you know people love to destroy the game with it. Now, I could go on and on about the different types of duplication glitches made with Redstone, but in this video, I'm only going to mention a few, considering there are probably dozens found in this version alone. The first major game-breaking Redstone glitch was the piston block printer. By creating an automatic on and off redstone circle like this, and using a regular piston and a sticky piston, you can place a block in between the pistons and they'll duplicate it by pushing out copies of the original block, allowing you to mine it infinitely. This is exactly how the government in real life makes money. A player by the name of Kirshar decided to take this glitch to the next level by creating an infinite TNT cannon using the same piston glitch to restock the TNT. Another dupe exploit that was found was done by using a nether portal, which hopefully from alpha you had some left over by pressing F4, a crafting table, and some water. What you would do was slowly slide into the nether portal, and before you're about to go in, you open the crafting table and place an item inside. When you touch the portal, 2 items will be dropped, the original one and a glitched one that is infinite, which can be used as many times as you want, like we saw in the one in the classic glitch from earlier. Staying on the topic of the nether, you can get water inside of the nether. I know you're asking, how is that possible? Well, if you obtained an ice block by mining one with the Silk Touch pickaxe and brought it into the nether with you, melted it with some torches, it would create a water source block that, when updated, would flow into the nether. You could turn entire lava lakes into obsidian in just a few seconds to get across if you carried ice blocks on you, and that's what a lot of players did. Now, as we get into the actual release of the game in late 2011, the Minecraft player base and content in the game are growing at an insanely fast rate, meaning new glitches are coming and going much more frequently. Therefore, talking about every single glitch from the past 16 versions would be nearly impossible, so I'm just going to talk about the most interesting and game-breaking ones. We'll start right at the beginning of the game's official release in version 1.0. A pretty fun glitch that was found by players involved minecarts. If you were to set up a small ramp going downwards into a small wall, the minecarts would fall onto each other and stack. And when you get a few of them in there, you could just push them off and they would fly off into the distance, bypassing all known laws of physics. Just like many other glitches, this has been patched, although you can do something similar with the TNT minecarts in present day versions from stacking them from beneath. Like, wouldn't it be a shame if I pushed this 5,000 metric tons of TNT right into this innocent village? Well, I don't care, launch that right into the center of town! Now, this next exploit has existed since 2013, specifically on early console editions of the game. This glitch would be huge for enchanting because sometimes when you finally get to level 30 and decide to enchant, the game ends up scamming you with the knockback 2 sword. This was no problem for console players though, because by using the manual save features, you could save your game right before you enchant and see if you get what you want. If you end up getting something bad, no big deal, you can crash your game on purpose by turning off the console, and when you reload the world, you have another chance. I actually fondly remember using this glitch back when I used to play the Xbox 360 edition of Minecraft. It was an absolute game-breaking exploit that could save you so much time. Also in 2013, saplings were so powerful, they could grow through blocks. Alright, let's fast forward a little bit to 2016 during version 1.11, when one of the most lucrative dupe exploits in the game's history was found by the community. This glitch was called the Donkey Dupe. To do this glitch, you would have to have an active ender portal and remove the first 6 end gateway portal blocks by placing lava on the very top of the frames next to them. After that, clear the area below the portal and set up signs like this, and place 1 lava source block to the side, and then place water down in front of it so it flows in the same direction. Then transport a donkey to the portal room and place your 5 dirt blocks in that chest equipped on the donkey. Next, get the donkey down to half a heart, and when you do that, you push the donkey into the water, it'll die from the lava and drop the items. But if you go into the end, the donkey will be there alive and well, with the items still intact. And I mean, that's pretty inhumane of a dupe, but who cares? You got your dupe. Staying on the topic of the end dimension, a very experienced player by the name of Rayworks built probably one of the most insane mob farm using glitches I've ever seen, an Ender Dragon farm. I had no idea that ever existed or was possible, but here's how you do it. Make a redstone conveyor that pushes an Ender Dragon into an end gateway. Dragon gets teleported into a cage you made, kill the dragon with TNT, leave its chunks during the death animation so you get 12,000 XP each time. Repeat, and there you go. 6 million XP per hour, and in just 15 days, you'll reach the level cap of 21,863. Similar to the flying pig glitch, during 1.15, you were able to fly using minecarts by doing basically the same thing. Hook onto the cart, spam fishing rod, and there you go. And of course, it would be wrong of me not to mention the classic boat flying glitch that Dream uses in his manhunts. Now, as we get into present day, we can see new glitches being found by the community left and right, even in unreleased versions of the game like 1.17. And that isn't even a joke. Several new glitches have already been found in the snapshots of the Caves and Cliffs updates. For example, you can dupe an entire stack of whatever item you wanted dozens of times in about a minute by using the newly added bundles. Overall though, with new items and new features coming out almost every year, the community will never stop trying to exploit the game to push it to its limits, and that's just how it goes. Although, I'm still waiting on someone to find a working girlfriend dupe.
Mas yun yung kakatawa, girlfriend. Okay? Ito ano?
But have you ever seen the secret image file of the Steve Villager hybrid? When villagers were added, an image file called villager.png was found in the game's files, which looked like this. It's unknown why this was ever put inside the game's files since it was never actually used, but I really wish it was because it's kind of funny. Yeah, so these mob secrets are pretty crazy, but they just scratch the surface of the unknown. There's actually a few really interesting pillager secrets as well. After pillagers win a raid by killing an entire village population, they will actually do a dance and play their horn instruments in celebration. Like, come on guys, I'm just being real here. As much as I love destroying villages, they are literally helpless. This doesn't deserve any type of gratification. Speaking of pillagers, see this big ravager? Yeah, it's real tough until it encounters a rabbit. In a few past versions of the game, ravagers were made so that they would fear rabbits and run away from them, similar to how creepers run from cats and skeletons run from wolves. But besides this weird fact, there's actually more secrets to the rabbits than most people think there are. Like, did you know that if you change a rabbit's name to Toast with a name tag, it will change its fur colors to look like this? The story behind this secret is actually pretty wholesome. A Redditor posted about his bunny named Toast going missing, and Mojang was so moved by the story, they actually added in the Toast name tag Easter egg to commemorate the loss. Some other mobs have name tag secrets too though, like naming a Vindicator Johnny will make it attack every single mob that crosses its path. Also, naming a sheep Jeb underscore will make its wool change color every second. But what happens if you breed two Jeb rainbow sheep? Whoa, wait, is that a cactus? If you name any mob Grum or Dinnerbone, they will turn Australian. Unfortunately, maybe the Ender Dragon doesn't work, although you may not know that the Ender Dragon actually has a name. On another Reddit post, user MadMax asked Notch what the name of the dragon is, and Notch bluntly replied with, Gene? Alright, so these Easter eggs and mob secrets have been pretty crazy, but what about some illegal or cursed secrets the player base was never meant to find out?
Joy natin, joy para sa mundo.
See, growing up as children, we're told that bedrock is supposed to be the indestructible block. The block that no amount of TNT can destroy. But what if I told you, with a powerful enough explosion, you can defy the laws of Minecraft and actually break bedrock? Believe it or not, bedrock isn't actually coded to be indestructible. It just has a very, very high blast resistance of 18 million, which is huge compared to that of dirt's 0.5 blast resistance. So that means by using hundreds of thousands of TNT totaling to an explosion power of 834,000, you will actually break bedrock. But good luck, that bedrock is gonna last longer than your PC will. Bedrock isn't the only block Mojang has tried keeping us from breaking though. They also have with end portal frames. End portal frames are also practically indestructible like bedrock, but instead of splitting an entire atom on top of it, you can simply grow a mushroom tree next to it and it will override the portal frames. Another thing Mojang has tried preventing us from doing is leaving the world borders. You see, Minecraft's world borders are placed 30 million blocks out in each direction to stop players from going any further if they manage to walk that far. But let me tell you a secret, just toss an ender pearl over there and you'll be home free. Surprisingly enough, the world border has been used to do some very other cursed and illegal things as well. For instance, combining two different slabs or stairs, something the community has wanted for years but Mojang has never given to us, can simply be done by pushing one of the blocks into another, pressing up against the world border with a piston like this. Yeah, pretty epic. Wait. Who's there? Oh god. Oh. You know what? Honestly, I deserve jail time for this. Now, a lot of us are familiar with the average skeleton and zombie spawner, but did you know that you can actually find a working pig spawner? On very rare occasions, a mineshaft loot chest will spawn on the same block as a cave spider spawner when the world is generated, which pretty much glitches out the cave spider spawner and causes pig spawners to generate all around it instead. The best part is, you can even place grass down and actually get the pigs to spawn, which I don't think Mojang ever intended to happen. Now, we've looked at secret Easter eggs, secret mob features, and some illegal secrets, but how about we look at some of the top secrets about blocks and items? While in creative mode, you can get a few special items with commands I bet you didn't know about. If you do /give your name Minecraft debug stick, you'll get this enchanted stick that lets you modify a block to any kind of its variations, which can be used to do some pretty strange things. Another secret block command is /give your name Minecraft structure block, which is basically a vanilla version of Fortnite and is used by map makers to copy and paste structures. Now, beetroots, probably the worst damn food in the entire game, and let's be real, probably the worst vegetable in real life too. But did you know that you can actually use them to make red dye, which you can apply to leather armor? Now, when you realize how gross that actually is and need to get rid of it, you can go ahead and right-click a filled up cauldron, which will remove the dye off the armor. Actually a pretty cool secret, but let's say, hypothetically, your cauldrons are empty. Well, if you leave those bad boys out in the rain, they will actually fill up. Just avoid doing that in Utah because it's illegal there for some reason. So those are some pretty cool secrets, but there's also a few items and blocks in the game that have some super interesting Easter eggs applied to them. End crystals, which can be found in the end, have these subtle scriptures on each side that, when laid out in the correct way, will spell out Mojang. Another secret, more on the creepy side when it comes to items, is Disc 11. Now, if you've heard Disc 11 before, you know that this thing should not be in Minecraft, but it gets even creepier, because if you put the audio file in a spectrogram, it reveals a picture of Steve, or it could even be Herobrine. Similar to this, Cave Sound 14 displays a creeper face when played through a spectrogram. Oh god, that is just terrifying. You know, I bet you when critics said that you should be 7 to play this game, I don't think they considered either of those two Easter eggs. Alright, so all of the secrets we've looked at so far are pretty insane, but the community has discovered some crazy strategies and tricks that are more secrets than anything else we've looked at. Let me explain. By finding a clay patch in a swamp biome, moving 6 blocks away from the middle of it in the positive Z direction, and then digging straight down, you will find diamonds as easy as that. Ladies, I know, one at a time. Speaking of mining straight down, players have also found these secrets to finding buried treasure. No more will you have to go through the hassle of excavating an entire quarry just to find a chest, because by simply finding the chunk the treasure is in and using F3 to find the coordinates 9, whatever number, 9, you will always be able to find the chest by digging directly below you. Now, if mining straight down isn't your gig and you prefer to stick to traditional strip mining, you're doing it wrong. A fairly unknown strategy to find the most amount of ore in the shortest amount of time while mining is to go into a prone position by closing a trapdoor on yourself, then by mining a 1x1 tunnel at Y12, you will actually be exposing yourself to 5 different blocks at a time, twice as fast as doing a 2x1, which will only expose you to 8. Now, a con to doing any of these secret strategies is death. Digging straight into lava or falling into a cave is a big threat. But fear not, because if you exit out of the game and rejoin before dying, you will cancel out any fall damage and be immune to lava for a good few seconds. I bet a lot of you are saying, oh well, that's a cheat. And you know what I have to say about that? Don't hate the player, hate the game. And that's that. Minecraft's most unknown secrets. Whoa, wait. There's one more? Pressing Alt F4 gives you unlimited diamonds. Oh, wait. Hold on a second. Let me try this out.
Computer niya, guys.
Make your moment nada with Nescafe Gold.
Para magka-crush yung Minecraft mo. Yung sasabi. Kasi do not do it. Said do not do it.
Minecraft's world generation is completely randomized, all determined by a specific number called the seed. Because seeds are random, some can cause Minecraft worlds to look absolutely insane. So today, we'll be taking a look at some of the most unbelievable seeds that have ever been found in Minecraft's decade-long history. But quickly, we're almost at 500,000 subscribers, so if you can even consider subscribing, it'd mean a ton. Alright, so we all know that every seed generates different structures, structures, such as temples and mine shafts. But how about we start off by looking at seeds with structures that go way out of the norm. This seed has a stronghold unlike any other you've seen before. The library in this stronghold completely sticks out of the ocean, showing the entire world all of its knowledge. Other seeds have had similar things generate like this before too, like this one where the stair entrance is completely exposed to the surface on this small island. Now those are a few one-of-a-kind seeds, but once we actually enter the stronghold, things get a little bit more interesting. There is a 1 in 1 trillion chance of a seed having an ender portal lit with every eye of ender in place, which as we can see here, there are a few seeds with this feature. But this seed right here is much more special. It is a bugged ender portal. You may not actually believe me, but this seed generated this glitched end portal naturally, which only has 1/3 of it activated, and it actually works. This phenomenon happened because the portal generated with 5 eyes of ender on this side, but it also happened to generate right on a chunk border, which tricked the portal into activating 1/3 of it. So this next seed, which is on an amplified world, has a floating jungle temple with a floating island above it. This is just so strange. Imagine how weird it would be to come across this randomly while playing. Speaking of weird temple formation, check out this seed with a desert temple that generated perfectly inside of a village home. I mean, look at this. It's like that one guy in the neighborhood who keeps getting extremely moronic house renovations. There's even an enchanted golden apple in the desert temple chest, which makes this seed all the more rare. Think these village houses couldn't get any more insane? Well, just take a gander at this one. This seed pretty much has a natural spawning skyscraper. This house's foundation stretches about 150 blocks tall to the ground. The reason this house is so elongated is because the game tried spawning the house on this small floating island. But when it did, the game thought, wait a minute, this will be floating in some parts. Let's just extend it 300 feet to the ground. That's about how tall the Statue of Liberty is. So we all know that in most Minecraft worlds, villagers and pillagers hate each other. But on this seed, it's opposite day. These guys are absolutely vibing with each other, just being boys. And the villagers even moved into the mansion and took their entire houses with them. The fact that not only a village spawning next to a woodland mansion is rare, but the fact that some of the houses generated inside, it's just mind-blowing. Alright, Hank, don't be shy. Your friends are here to see you. Oh, look how cute they are wrestling with each other. Hank? Staying on the topic of woodland mansions, if you are unlucky enough to load up this seed right here, you will immediately spawn inside of a mansion's floorboards with this air pocket of tall grass. And then you'll have to manually mine yourself out with your fists. This is just really funny and unlucky that something like this can actually happen, but it only gets more insane from here. This seed has an ocean monument which spawned inside of a stronghold. Now right off the bat, this seed seems to be pretty rare and visually it is appealing, but once you tried to fill the end portal to beat the game and you didn't bring any milk, Elder Guardians will prevent you from breaking silverfish spawners, and there you go. You just got double teamed by the worst 2 mobs in the game. But that isn't the only seed with an insane ocean monument generation. This seed features a Badlands biome, which you know is already pretty rare, with an ocean monument that spawned inside of this small pond the biome forms.
Wait guys, tingnan ko lang yung section.
You know, this is already pretty rare, with an ocean monument that spawned inside of the...
Okay, lalagay ko yung seed guys ha. I-load ko na Minecraft ko. Para ma-proof ko sa'yo, pakita ko sa'yo. Okay? Kapintot ako ng world guys. New world. Gagawin natin creative. Pati sexy. Wait lang guys. 6 1 6 1 0 6 0 6 9 guys. Pati 4 0 1 pati 5 0 pati 6 9 pati 1 6 6 1,575. 575. Okay guys, lagay ko set seed. Set seed natin. Okay.
This small pond the biome formed. This is actually one of the shallowest and smallest waters a monument can spawn in, which makes this seed generation pretty darn rare. So we've gone from floating temples to villages to ocean monuments. How about we go a little deeper into the mines? This seed's mine shaft actually goes through bedrock all the way down at Y2. The reason it can do this is because mine shafts are one of the only structures that can override the generation of bedrock. So when it formed, it drilled right through it. And hey, if you get to the end of this tunnel without Herobrine abducting you, there's a cool little skeleton spawning. So all of these seeds so far have been pretty rare and insane, but none of them come as close to this seed right here, where you can beat Minecraft without leaving the spawn chunk. This seed's 16 by 16 block spawn chunk has all the required resources for you to be able to get to the end and beat the game. It starts off by spawning you inside a village, which you can get resources to trade with a cleric, who back in 1.7.10 could trade you Eyes of Ender. Then after you get enough, you can mine down to the stronghold, which conveniently has the portal directly under the spawn. After that, you can enter the end and beat the game, all done without ever leaving the spawn chunk. Whoo! Talk about a speed run. Alright, so all of these structural unique seeds are pretty mind-blowing, but how about we look at a few seeds that I would consider famous? If this video on the screen right now gives you the shivers, you're not the only one. This is the official seed of where the original Herobrine legend took place, and it gives off the most threatening aura I've ever felt. See this small little square picture of a mountain in the Minecraft resource pack and world selection? Well, the seed for that image, pack.png, has also been found. Now, if you've been playing Minecraft for a while, I'm sure you've recognized those two seeds, but you probably recognize this one as well. For 7 years, this was the Minecraft title screen background image, and it was just found through seed finding not too long ago. All of the other 4 Minecraft panoramas have been found too, such as the Bee updates and the Nether update, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. And by the way, Mojang doesn't actually give us the seeds for these worlds. People actually find them by analyzing simple screenshots or small videos, which is even more mind-blowing. Alright, so now instead of looking at the seeds with the craziest structures in history, let's take a look at the seeds with the most insane terrain generations, such as mountains and biomes. This seed right here has one of the craziest snow mountains that you will ever find in Minecraft. Not only does it go up to almost Y200, but its north cliffside is so steep that you can jump off the tip of the mountain into the water below. I don't know about you fellas, but this looks like a prime spot to build a survival base. Although that mountain seems tall, it is nowhere near the height of the tallest natural generated terrain points in all of Minecraft. Coming all the way in at Y256, the mountain on this seed is one of the tallest mountains ever discovered in a non-amplified world. I mean, come on, just look how massive this thing is. You can't even see the top of it from the ground. Unless if you're this guy I found on stock images, there is no way you're getting up that thing alive. Alright, so those mountains may be a little tall, but what about a cactus that is not 3 blocks tall, not 6 or 9 blocks tall, but 23 blocks tall? Yeah, this seed has a cactus which naturally generated 23 blocks tall. Something like this happening is extremely rare because you need cactus blocks to stack onto each other when generating a whole 23 times, which seems easy, but when there's thousands of other sand blocks in the desert for all the cactuses to spawn on, the odds start to become pretty unlikely. Now, structures like villages can be pretty boring on footage. You'll blow it up later, but when you zoom out, you realize the incredible seed you've just stumbled across. Not only are you on a small island with a village on it, but you're also completely surrounded by a frozen ocean and mushroom biome. But the rare village biome combinations don't stop there. This seed is just as crazy, or even more crazy, than the last one. This seed generated a desert village and temple right next to this absolutely beautiful mountain, which even has a small little pond right below. below. If there is a 7 wonders of the world in Minecraft, this would have to be one of them. Want to see the most cursed Minecraft seeds ever? Any seed loaded on the snapshot version 18W06A will spawn upside down tree. There's no real explanation for this anomaly besides a bug in the tree generation during the snapshot. It's just so strange. I mean, it's a stupid tree. How are you gonna do photosynthesis down there? Now, before we get to some more unbelievable seeds, here's some seed facts that I'm 99% sure you didn't know about. Starting off, did you know that you can find diamonds using clay positioning? I know it seems a bit odd, but if you simply find a clay patch in a swamp biome, move 6 blocks away from the middle of this in the positive Z direction, and then mine straight down, you will find diamonds as easy as that. I mean, who needs X-ray hacks when you have this? Okay, so this fact is a little bit more weird. If you are to load up the snapshot version 20W14 Infinite, make a nether portal, and throw a used booking quill inside of it, it will open up a randomized dimension that when you load into it, it will give you nightmares for the rest of your life. Like, just listen to the seed. Every time we do this, the seed is different too. Apparently, Mojang did this as an April Fool's prank, but that's like kicking someone in the nuts and calling it an April Fool's prank. Another cool seed fact is not only are the blocks in your world determined by the seed, but the mobs that spawn can also be. This seed in particular has a weird trait where every sheep herd that spawns in this plains biome will always have a pink sheep. Usually pink sheep have a 1 in 642 chance of spawning, but this seed just doesn't care about the RNG and spawns the same colored flock of sheep every time. Quick fact, did you know that if you try putting in the seed 0, it doesn't work? But if you put in Kriashak's org design and do /seed, you'll be on seed 0. Alright, so although some of the seeds we've looked at so far seem broken, they come nowhere near as broken as a repeating seed. Due to a bug in the game's code, certain
Oh, Minecraft. Great world. Okay. Tingnan natin. 10 7 P8 at P8 0 8 8 8 0 8 4. Oh, what? Di ba na ito set C? Sorry guys. At 7. Okay, baba mo lang guys.